need time. Because I got coworkers that listen to this show. I need them to hear this. Ferg mentioned I started off as a 49ers fan. So my introduction to football, before I even followed, football was so boring. Football is boring as hell. If you don't understand it, it's boring as hell. I get why anybody who doesn't understand the rules and everything, it's boring. And if you look up a statistic, I think an NFL game, the average amount of time of action within the game is only 12 minutes. It's a 3.5 hour game, but actual action only amounts up to like 12 minutes.
What up, what up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. It's your boy Ferg, joined by co-host Buff and Rozzy. Fellas, what it do?
Let's see what we got here. So up here in good old Northern Virginia, there's a town called Centerville. First off, welcome back, listeners. We took a week off because, Ferg and Rozzy, they travel a lot. They're very important people. But no, we back, man. It's always great to be back. But there's a little town up here called Centerville, and I believe it was Centerville High that a teacher blew the whistle on a social worker, alleging that the social worker had been facilitating abortions without the parents' knowledge for some of the students on 7 different occasions. And so now the governor has gotten involved, and he's ordered an investigation, and they're working on a law to pass down to the schools in this state that you can't do that. I guess that's not already on the books. But it's one of those things, it's obviously is a right-wing type issue, I would say. But it's one of those issues that I would say it's an issue that right-wingers cling to. But I think most reasonable people feel like parents should have a say-so in whether or not their child gets an abortion. So I thought that was interesting for someone to think it's okay to do that. And the teacher's name, I think, is Zaneta Perez, but she blew the whistle, and they are investigating that. And that's one of those things where I don't know if it's completely a right wing or left wing thing, but if it is, I agree with the right wingers on that one. I want to have a say so in my child on whether or not to just do it without their knowledge is crazy. But we'll see what happens. Look like you thinking about you don't know how you feel on that one, Ferg?
I'm one of those people that sometimes I think we give parents too much credit. Right? The three of us, I think, would be able to have a logical conversation with our kids. You have some people who are die hard one way or another, and they make decisions based on just their personal beliefs and maybe not what's best for that child.
Yeah.
So you have people who maybe this child comes from a long line of young single mothers or young parents, and they're putting on single mothers, people getting pregnant very young. And because they don't believe in abortion, and this daughter or these children basically like, I made a mistake. I'm not trying to have that life. Like I've seen my grandmother and my aunts and my mom and everybody struggle, and my mom's not going to sign off on this. So I don't know if it's you need permission or at least a parent needs to know. That's where I draw the line, because there was parents at one point in time where you have the anti-vaxxers and stuff like that who don't believe in modern medicine or certain things, and their kids were putting their kids at risk based off of just their personal or religious beliefs. And sometimes those things can be overburdening. And it's like, okay, now that you're 18, you get to make your own decisions, but you have a 2-year-old, right? You can't go back. Mm-hmm. And mama, you weren't a great parent, so you can't just take the child. It's a my body, my choice. If I go, I got to go all the way. I think the parents should be notified.
I definitely think that. But so I don't want to turn it to a full question, but just my only pushback is because you said there are some parents that raise their kids based on their beliefs. Isn't that how we all pretty much raise our kids?
We all do, but I'll say this. I mean, I'll take it even further. There are like super anti-abortion no matter what folks, and think about a 16-year-old that gets date raped, and is pregnant and doesn't want to tell their parents, one, that they got date raped, and on top of that, they're pregnant because of that date rape, right? Or just raped by anybody, or granted, it might be that they just made a bad decision. But I mean, really, when you talk about that, there are kids that are in incestuous. The dad is the freaking parent, right? And now at this point, you're gonna tell you got to notify the dad that the daughter's pregnant, and he has to sign off if she's gonna have an abortion. He probably wants her to have it so he can molest the grandbaby, right? Like that's the type of stuff that you really have to kind of think about there. I 100% don't think that the parent has to have a choice or be able to say, yeah, you can have it or not. I really think it's that child's decision on that.
And I hate it comes and you said
maybe this should have been a question.
It's a question
you
now,
think
bro.
something that's
It's
going to affect the parents, because this is undeniably going to affect the parents with their child, bringing a child in their household. You don't think they should have a say so on that?
Of having an abortion or not having an abortion? So like the kid,
child in.
You can't force a kid to have an abortion, but you can
kick your child out.
You can't force the kid to have an abortion, but you can force them. But they have to get your sign off to have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, for me, what you said, Byron, the question was, don't we all kind of, the way what we believe in, and we put that on our kids. Yeah. I can't think much that we push on our kids as far as our beliefs that they can't bounce back from. Your kids can grow up in church every day, and when they turn 18 become atheists. Like, no harm, no foul. You did the best you could. Right? There's certain things where there's no coming back from. Like, okay, I wanted you to play sports. When you got to college, you dropped out of sports. Whatever that thing is, that passion or that belief we have, a kid ain't no turning back. It affects, like you said, it affects a parent, it affects a child, and then there's a baby in the situation. And I think that's my only pushback is I'm a firm believer in not making mistakes that you can't bounce back from.
I think so. I think we have to make peace with there are such things as bad parents, but I think we are on I don't want to say slippery slope because a certain political wing likes to use that. I'll just say we're on a dangerous road when we start picking and choosing and deciding what parents can and cannot have a say in when it comes to their kids. That's a dangerous road, I think. So that's definitely gonna have to be a question one day or later in the show. The only other two things I got, man, is actually one, because the other one I didn't finish looking up like I needed to before the show. I think it's something about, just Google this one, folks. It's Baird Middle School, and I think a teacher, there was a transgender student in the school, 11 years old, and I think the school was saying that they were going to continue to call him by his old pronouns, and the teacher alerted the father, and the school wound up firing the teacher because they either wanted to continue to call him by the old pronouns or vice versa. But just look it up. It's kind of interesting. But the only other thing I got that I'm knowledgeable of is we see the GOP running the same playbook. We see Trump sending troops into D.C. I think he's getting ready to send them in Chicago. He's threatened to send them in Baltimore. Baltimore specifically has one of the lowest murder rates, I believe, in the last 50 years. DC's crime has trended down the last 3 years. I'm not sure about Chicago, but I do know per capita, there are red states that have worse murder rates and worse crime than even Chicago. I know Chicago is always the boogeyman. But I said all that to say that it's worked before for them. We see what their message is going to be for the midterms. Every city is dangerous. No one's safe. Only we can protect you. I need the Democrats to find their defensive coordinator that can finally plan against this offense. We saw the Wildcat offense in Miami work for a while with Ricky Williams, and then the league caught on and shut that shit down. We saw the option work for Nebraska in college football. They caught on, shut that shit down. I need the Dems to find a defensive coordinator that can shut this shit down. Otherwise,
it's the tush push right now.
Yeah. I like that.
Exactly.
I like it. Like it.
It's unstoppable.
Ain't no defense for this shit right now. Can't do nothing with it.
Man, because we see it setting up, and like the Dems were trending, despite not doing much, they were trending towards having a much better midterm than they did general election 2 years ago. Well, earlier this year, last year, whatever. But with this playbook he's pulled out, we've seen it work before. And what I mean by work is I'm not even just talking about wins and losses at the polls. I'm talking about the Dems. You remember Clinton he moved more to the right because the Republicans were so big on crime. And that's why you got the three strikes law and things like that. Because Dems felt compelled to be tougher on crime themselves. And so that's what I don't want to see happen as well. In addition to losing at the polls, I don't want to see a party become a light version of the Republican Party.
Man, tougher on crime would be a freaking blessing right now. This dude is going freaking maniac dictatorship. It's like we are living in. I mean, we've knocked down one wall and we're trying to put another one up. Like I don't know what's going on. Like we're sounding real Soviet Union ish.
Yeah.
So I'm like Razzie. I don't know if there's a playbook. I don't know what we're gonna do.
I mean, he's told you the leaders he admires just by how much he compliments them and things. And he's like you said Russia, Soviet Union. He's becoming one of those type of leaders, man,
Mm-hmm.
where he's going at his political enemies and all that.
Yeah. So that's all you got?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, we're talking about Trump and everything. I just want to say that we did get a couple of wins in the federal courts. So they showed that, or they ruled that it was illegal for him to send the troops into California, into LA. Of course, that's going to get appealed and have to go to the Supreme Court. And they also said that his tariffs were illegal. So that's probably going to get appealed and go to the Supreme Court as well. But he got a couple wins in there. We'll see what happens when it comes down to the actual Supreme Court there. And we talked a little bit about parenting. And I just want to shout out to Randy. I don't know if you guys know who Randy is. Randy, the guinea pig, he snuck into the female pen.
Yeah.
And it was 100 females in there, and Randy smashed them all.
Skate.
Got them all pregnant. Like they said, they only found out because Randy was losing weight. He was tired and sluggish.
Dad, that's wild.
Yeah,
Randy, a wild boy.
Man. So, but yeah, man, that's I just we've got to laugh, man, because it's crazy out there with everything that Donald Trump is pushing out. We talk about it a lot here on this show, but I think we're starting to see a little bit of chinks in the armor, and that's why he's doing these kind of big sweeping moments, right? Of, oh, I'm going in, and they changed the playbook. They said, okay, now we're going tough on crime because obviously economy is gonna suck, and they know the economy is gonna suck in the midterms, and so they got to figure something else out. And economy is not going to be it because the tariffs are not working. We're seeing inflation coming. It's not a great look for them on that side. So they're gonna have to find something else, and it's tough on crime. I don't think that's gonna really work either. It's playing okay with the base, but he's getting a lot of pushback from especially independents and things like that when it comes to this kind of militarization and putting the military in. And the other part about it is he's activating these National Guardsmen, and they're not doing a whole lot. You see the pictures of them like picking up trash and stuff like that. It's like there's not a lot for them to do. And so it's a huge waste of money. And it goes back to why he went bankrupt 6 times. We told y'all he didn't know how to run businesses. He doesn't understand how to run money. He wants to spend money on $2 million or $200 million for renovations on the White House. And he's talking about beautifying parks and everything. But he cut the parks and recreation services. So I don't know what he's just going to do contracts for it. I don't know. I don't know how he's going to do this stuff, but he cut the people who he needed. I mean, he didn't need to activate the National Guard to pick up waste had he not cut the people who go and pick up waste. It's just this I don't understand, other than him just trying to break the government. And so that's what we got to look for, man. But we're getting some wins. I like how the Democrats are like lining up behind Gavin Newsom. I think he's the guy. He's their guy. And I think that's a smart play instead of them splintering and everything else. And I like what's happening with Kamala as well. So my prediction, I don't know if I talked about this last time we were on the show, but my prediction is she's going to get attorney general, and she's going to wait it out until the Supreme Court position comes open, and they're going to nominate her to the Supreme Court, which would be dope. And so that's my wish for her. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think she's running for political office anymore. I think she's going to wait for appointments at this point. And that, I think, is her trajectory in my eyes. So that's all I got, man.
Under whose regime? Yeah, like this Trump in this sometimes. So.
I mean, if Gavin wins and the military does their job and ensures a peaceful transition of power, I don't think it's going to be peaceful. I do think that if it does transition, it's going to be ugly. But I do think that a lot of people, especially in the military, at the point that we get to where he's trying to command them to stop elections, or he's getting to the point where he's saying, don't let them certify and things like that. I really feel like our military, we do have the best fighting force in the world, and no matter what, those our folks are going to be like, no, that's not how we work here in the United States. He is replacing a lot of people at the top, but I think your middle folks, I think your light colonels and majors and everything that aren't getting politically appointed, and maybe even full birds that aren't getting politically appointed, are going to stand up and be like, no, that's not how we do things here. So I still have faith in the military to maintain that peace, the police forces and everything around the nation, to make sure that that's not happening. So I think we're going to be okay. It'll transition, but it's going to be ugly, because he exactly what he did with, what's her name, Ashley Babbitt, right? With the Air Force giving her funeral rights and everything like that. He's trying to make it everybody who wants to show up on January 6th and 28 is when it'll be, or whatever. So that January, or 29. So in January 29, he wants to make people feel comfortable that they can come and they can show up and they can riot again, and they'll get off and it'll be okay, because you saw what happened the last time. So he's making them feel comfortable, but I do think the police forces and our military are going to stand up and squash that. That's just my hope. I do think we're going to be all right, but it's going to be ugly.
That's optimistic. I hope you're right. I hope it doesn't even get to that. I hope at some point we quell all this noise and we figure out what's going on. I'll lighten it up a little bit. Your boy Drewski, who is a viral sensation, streaming sensation, went viral again for going quote unquote whiteface to a NASCAR event. And when I say he did a good job, he did it. Have you seen the video, Buff? When I say he looks complete, full redneck, he has a biker's tan, all that stuff.
Pictures. Yeah, I saw pictures from it.
It is pure comedy, but the comedy is never in the video. The comedy is always in the comments. So it is huge right now, because it's of course if the roles were reversed, we'll be pissed, and it'll be. And I'm like, I guess, I guess, but it is what it is. That's one. Did you guys watch? I think we all talked about the Cowboys documentary. We didn't talk about that last show, did we?
Mm-mm.
No, we talked about it in a group. Yeah. I don't even consider myself as a long-term Cowboys fan. I was a Cowboys fan longer than I wasn't, so I'll put it that way. They did a really good job of that documentary. I think they really did. They captured the essence of what it was like to be an American, not even just a Cowboys fan, an American during that time when they were going for, in between those Super Bowls. It made me think about our rivalry in middle school, Buff as a former 49ers fan, me as a Cowboys fan, and it came down to us. We weren't listening to anybody else.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, shut up. Your team's not in this.
Great battles.
Yes. Man. And so it reminded me of those times. It reminded me of growing up in Dallas and how bad they were. I went to that Tom Landry parade, the Hats Off to Tom Landry parade, and I remember my dad was pissed about the firing of Tom Landry and the Herschel Walker trade and all that stuff. And I say all that to say, man, this Jerry Jones, it gave you insight into how he really is, and he is he's a villain. he pretty much says, if things are going too good, I'm going to find a way to mess it up. And it seems very narcissistic. And I think what's happened with the Cowboys recently, we all have our different opinions about it. It just seemed like one of those. I was joking that he watched the documentary and had a flashback and wanted to get back into that world. And so I don't know. I don't know if it had anything to do with the Michael Parsons trade. Probably not, but I wouldn't put anything past Jerry. I think he wants to do what he wants to do, and it's his money. He gets to do it.
Yeah.
It's my ball, and I'll take it and go home.
Yeah.
But it was a good thing. I remember the whole Michael Irvin situation when he was cracked out. It was just, when I say I was on an emotional roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up pissed, and I ended up where I'm at today. And then the Michael Parsons thing, it was a chef's kiss.
Yeah.
To the document. I wish they would have did it 6 months from now, so they can add that that would have been a perfect finish to the documentary, because it started with him making major moves that nobody believed in, and now it finishes with him making a major move that
nobody believes in. So I got a question, just a quick follow-up before we get into the questions. Both of you guys have shifted and found new teams, or looking for new teams, and kind of said, okay, I'm not a San Francisco fan anymore. I'm not a Cowboys fan anymore. I found a new team. I'm almost at that point with Green Bay. It's like I still love them, but I don't it's not a huge thing for me.
They haven't been messing up though.
They haven't been messing up.
Beef with them?
They've been boring. It's like I don't get excited from Green Bay. You know what I'm saying?
They were just in an exciting NFC championship, I would say 2 seasons ago, with San Francisco.
Yeah, but it's not about just a winning thing. That's kind of like expected.
You mean like the style of play and stuff?
The style of play.
I got you. Okay.
The franchise, like, I'm just not excited about the franchise anymore. I still love them, right? And so it's one of those things that.
So when did you fall in love with Green Bay like that? When did you fall in love with hip hop?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's jump into that. Might be my question. I think as we're approaching football season, how did you fall in love with your team? And then talk about now, and how did you fall in your team? How do you feel now?
I flack for rooting for Baltimore now.
How do you feel now? And I guess my last question is, Buff, you're a perfect example of what do you think about people switching teams? Oh, Risey, you were already going, so.
Yeah, go ahead, Risey.
Okay, yeah. So I fell in love because I would watch, the Saints. My dad was a Raiders fan, so we'd watch football, and it's exciting. It's cool. But it was just watching Brett Favre the first time, and we didn't get it. We didn't get Green Bay often, right? Down in Mobile, because it's just, you don't see them. And so the first time I watched him play, and it was just different. I don't know. It was like Green Bay just felt different. The snow, it was a snow game. It was like just kind of watching the game, and they out there and they just in the mud. And like, it was just something about that just made they just looked different. And I want to say they were playing the Bears. So you got to think Chicago, or like Green Bay versus the Bears, one of the oldest rivalries out there. And it was a good game. It was smash mouth. But then you got Brett Favre just airing it out on a whim, whatever, doing like just the most random things. And so I think I fell in love with Favre. And then from there, it was just kind of, okay, now it's the team. And you just watch them long enough that now they're your team. You pick them because you've been watching them, and like, you're excited to see them because I didn't get a chance to see them all the time. So every time they came on, or every time I knew they were going to be on, I wanted to watch them versus just any other game that was on. It's like, okay, it's on. I see them all the time. I see the Saints all the time. I see the Falcons all the time. And so it was just that, I think, is why I fell in love with that team. And then you just go throughout the years, and you're just like, that's my team. And you stick to it no matter what, right? Like, they're winning, they're losing, they get close to winning, and you just stick with them. And then all of a sudden it gets to the point where it's like, I don't really care if they win or not. And I think a little bit of that may have been when the boycott with, and so I boycotted for a few years, and so at that point coming back, maybe that's the reset, and maybe that's it. I just haven't found that love for them because I didn't know the trades, I didn't know what was happening with them anymore over those years, and so now it's almost like looking at a brand new team, and so maybe that's it. I just haven't felt that passion for them after coming back off the boycott.
Interesting. You know what? So I need time. So I'm definitely foregoing my question. I need time because I got coworkers that listen to this show. I need to hear this. Ferg mentioned I started off as a 49ers fan. So my introduction to football, before I even followed, football was so boring. Football is boring as hell. If you don't understand it, it's boring as hell. I get why anybody who doesn't understand the rules and everything, it's boring. And if you look up a statistic, I think an NFL game, the average amount of time of action within the game is only 12 minutes. It's a 3 and an hour half game, but actual action only amounts up to like 12 minutes. But with that said, my introduction was Tecmo Bowl. I remember playing Tecmo Bowl over my cousin's house, and it was this player, last name Rice, who caught the ball every time. Every time. I was like, God damn, this dude is good. So fast forward, a football game is on, and it's the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm like, it's him. It's him and he was doing this thing in real life. And so I was like, that's who I'm gonna rock with. So I started following football and just watching that Dallas documentary. The first Super Bowl I watched from beginning to end was that second Buffalo Super Bowl y'all played in for the one in that. That was the first because like when y'all blew them out the previous year, I was in Pritchard. I was outside. It was a TV out there playing it, but I wasn't really paying no attention to it. So that's like my very beginning of fandom. And I wound up leaving 49ers. I never leave a team because they lose. All teams are going to have good seasons, bad seasons. That's never a good reason. But it's like the 49ers just tried me so many times. And some of the moves were correct, but it's still, I feel like they tried me. Like they got rid of Joe Montana. I was like, how the hell? But then, Steve Young stepped up. He did his thing. So I'm like, all right, bet. Then they during the rebuild, they let Jerry Rice go. I'm like, damn. And they let T.O. go. And they let Jeff Garcia go. I'm like, damn, what the fuck are we doing? And then the last straw was they hired Dennis Erickson. And I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all gonna hire a dude that went like 5-11 the last time he was a head coach in the NFL. I think he kind of sucked in college football for a while after his Miami reign. I'm like, man. And then I think it was Eddie DeBartolo, who was like the general manager, and the owner had left. And it just completely changed. And I just was like, man, this team. All right. Fast forward, I just started rooting for players. I wanted to see T.O. get a ring. And Tony Dungy being the first black head coach that was worth. Nah, I can't Arshell like that. Arshell did his thing too. But Tony Dungy, I didn't like how Tampa did him. So when he went to Indianapolis, I was like, you know what? I'm a root for Indy because I want to see this brother.
I remember that.
I forgot about your Indy
yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
Fan. Okay.
I said I want to see him succeed, man.
Then they had a little quarterback that you like.
Peyton, but I'm not as high on Peyton as a lot of Colts fans are. Like the narrative on Peyton is he finally broke through and won a Super Bowl. Yeah, his team finally came through. That Super Bowl run, he had more interceptions than touchdowns, that Super Bowl run when they beat the Bears. And we know he sucked in the Super Bowl run with Denver. So, great regular season quarterback, but I'm getting off topic. The Colts kind of got caught up. It's not completely their fault. I'm kind of like you, Rozzy. I was a Colts fan once Tony Dungy got there all the way until the Colin Kaepernick thing. And then that's when I banned the NFL for like 3 years. And so I kind of just fell out of football altogether. Then during that, the former owner of the Colts, rest of the day, he just passed away earlier this year, but he allowed Vice President Pence to use him and make a political statement on top of his comments about Colin Kaepernick as well. And since I was already out of football, I was like, well, you know what? Y'all. So I stopped with the Colts. And so now, once I started getting back into football, Obviously, being up here in this area, we're going to get Washington games and we're going to get Baltimore games. So I'm watching Lamar Jackson, who I'm not going to say I didn't like at first, but I hadn't forgiven him for what he had did to Florida State when he was at Louisville because he bust their ass. So when he first came to Lee, I'm like, Lamar Jackson, yeah, whatever. But I was watching him, and it's kind of like what you said about Green Bay, Rozzy. Like, they're not exciting to watch. Watching him was exciting. I was like, oh, shit. He doing his thing. And then I started reading the criticism because, again, I've been away from football. I didn't know he was this heavily criticized as he was. So now I'm like, you know what? Start rooting for him. Each year, my fandom has gotten increasingly crazy because I got season tickets now. Anybody who, like, guys will give you a harder time for switching teams than cheating on your lady. Mm-hmm. You can cheat on your lady, like, man, she did have a fat ass.
You take your side chick to the game.
You switch teams. What's wrong with you? Like, you committed a cardinal sin, dog.
You can't cheat on your team and your barber. Them the two things you cannot cheat on.
No, you cannot, bro. Bro, like, you're not a real fan. And I always hit him with this. I was like, okay, I'll take that. I'm not a real fan. I guarantee you I can name more players on the Ravens than you can on your squad. And that always shuts them up. Because that's how, like, I'm all in. But I admittedly, until Lamar Jackson leaves. Now, once he leaves, I don't know. I might be done with them. But while he's there, I'm all in. Follow all their social media followings. I rewatch games, dog. Like, that's how into it I am. So,
do you like the franchise now? Do you see? You just said once he leaves, but are you? I saw you with the 49ers. I saw you with the Colts. Do you feel better about where you're at now? You're making grown decisions, bro. Do you feel better? Like, you know what? I like the team. I like the way they're built. I like what they stand for. I mean, they're a dog eat dog type, tough, roughneck type team. So I've always liked them. Like, well, I like them since Ray Lewis, right? That kind of,
So morally, they challenge me because, the whole Justin Tucker thing, they really didn't want to let him go. They really didn't. But, they almost was kind of forced to let him go because he didn't have a spectacular season last year, on top of the fact that he's up there in age. And then they found this rookie in Tyler Loop. They went on ahead and let him go. But they really did not want to let him go. So they kind of challenged you a little bit morally. I'm not exactly sure how they handled Ray Rice. I think they cut him immediately. I can't remember on that. And then we know what Ray Lewis went through.
Well, immediately after the video came out.
Exactly.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
So they kind of, and listen, all teams deal with this because we know NFL players get in trouble. But overall, man, other than that, it seems to be a pretty good organization. It seems like they really try to look out for their fans, which is what you want as a paying customer. Like, they're making a big deal out of having 11 items on their stadium menu that are under $5, which we know that's a big deal at a football game.
Yeah.
You can't get water for under $5.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they let you rent the whole stadium out for fantasy football.
You got anything else, Buff?
Yeah, that is my football journey, though, because I know I have coworkers that give me a hard time about it. But I'm from a town, maybe this is not an excuse, but I'm from a town that doesn't have a team. So I didn't want to root for the Saints. I didn't want to root for the Falcons. So I kind of was left to find my team. Like Rozzy was left to find Green Bay. Ferg, luckily you grew up in Dallas. You had Dallas. So, I just kind of root for players because the institution of that league, when you get into the business aspect of it, it's dirty.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of times what happens is you root for a player. Usually a player draws you in to an organization. And then from there...
no way the Cleveland Cavs had that many fans until LeBron.
Right. That exactly, right? Angel Reese with the Sky, right? Me and Leo, we were like, which team do we want? And we were like, we're gonna go with the Sky because of Angel Reese, even though they suck. Same. Like, it's one of those things that, like, I could go and root for the Sparks or, you know, the Valkyrie even. The Valkyrie is a new team and they're good. But either way it goes, it's like you can, you pick that team and then hopefully while they're there, you can actually kind of form a bond with the actual team and the organization. So then as they replace and they move, you can stay with the organization.
So like Miami Heat, I started because of Dwayne Wade, but I love just Miami, the city, so much that it's just always going to be my team. Florida State players come and go, so it's really hard to be a college football fan and root for a player because
they should
only
they
going to
should
be
be
there.
they should be gone.
Yeah. So I'm always going to be a Florida State fan, but you know, maybe depending on where I retire, or whatever town that is, if they have a team, maybe that'll be my final team. But it's really been like just following players. Jerry
So you
Rice.
don't like the Dolphins that much?
I don't know if I'm moving to Miami.
Yeah, if you would have mind, can't because you can't like the Hurricanes, can't like the Canes.
No,
and then
can't like the Canes.
The Dolphins are just the Dolphins, right? It's a really hard team to like.
That's Ollie's team, and Ollie picked his team based off the mascot. He was just like, I like the Dolphin. So like, yeah.
But you know what?
He's young enough to make it.
When he doesn't get hurt, Miami has an exciting offense with Tua and Tyreek Hill and Waddle. It's exciting.
I mean,
but he's hurt too often.
If they don't, he doesn't care about winning.
That's cold. Right?
I mean, you know, it's certain teams. Like, when the last time you thought Miami was going to? Right. Yeah. It's certain teams.
It's crazy too, because that's how the NFL. That's how teams get fans. Like when you're little, you root for the winning team, and then you just wind up sticking. So it's going to be a lot of Kansas City fans.
Yeah.
That get older.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's the problem, right? So that kind of goes where I'm at. And it's two parts. So growing up in Dallas initially, if you're in a town with a professional team, you almost by default win or lose. And that's a difference, right? And so when I kind of asked the question, you know, can you switch? Right now, there's only 32 teams, 32 cities. Well, and actually that is, I mean, you got New York, like you got cities.
Well, they got two, New York.
Yeah, so you're like the rest of the country, you pick a team based off of what, and might be family connected or whatever. But I became a Dallas fan in the early 80s when they sucked. They sucked, but it's being in Texas. There's something about Texas pride that you were okay because you're in Texas and this is Dallas and they were still America's team and all this stuff. And, you know, the early 80s, they were coming off of they were still decent, right? From the late 70s and stuff like that. It's, I think, 85 to 89, 84 to 89, when I started watching them, they just sucked. So you still had people who were holding on to hope from the 70s and early 80s. Like you said, I was so young that I didn't know. It's just Cowboys, Cowboys, Cowboys everywhere you go. And I just remember just wanting to be a part of that team. We went to games and everything. Win, lose, or draw. Well, lose, draw, and maybe a win. But it was never a win. I think I think I might have been on to one or two games in my life personally that the Cowboys won. And I've been to several. I don't even know how many Cowboys games. You know, I was a kid. They never won a game when I was a kid when I was there live. And Rising, we went to one, you know, and I think we went to like Jacksonville, and they were supposed to thrash Jacksonville. And it was just like, to the point I just stopped going to games. But you're just in a city and in an area where you're close to a team, and by proximity, you become a fan of that team. And then when they truly regain the throne as America's team, whether people want to admit it or not, it made it so much easier. Because they were exciting to watch. They were, you know, you had Aikman, you had the playmaker, you had Emmitt Smith. I mean, you had one of my favorite tight ends to this day, Novacek, was a badass white boy. You know, he was money in the bank. You know, we need 7 yards. He gonna do it, you know, a curl route. That was it. You had Alvin Harper. You had all this stuff. It was just a perfect team to get behind. Nate Newton. You had, when they got Dion, it was just, they were exciting to watch. What made it hard to be a Cowboys fan was everybody else hated them. And it was fine in the beginning. And over time, it just got to the point where it's like, you're a Miami Dolphins fan. Why are we even talking about football? Yet and still, they became the team everybody loved, and they made it easy. The fans, the owner, the disappointment, media. It's a perfect storm. And similar to you guys have known me for Byron over 30, both of you over almost 30 years, over 30 years. I think I've been a realistic Cowboys fan, right? Like I've never been like, this is our year, this is our year, this is our year. You know what I mean? Like, except in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was because they consistently had pretty good success. Even in this 30-year span, I would say probably 80% of those years were good years, if not more, like regular season years. At one point, they were just the best mediocre team, and either they were the best mediocre team, the worst good team, or the best worst team in the league. Whatever it was, they were just like 9-6. We're gonna do just enough to like maybe lose the last game of the season to miss the playoffs, but they were consistently doing stuff. But that Kaepernick time where we were off, and I think I was the last person to hold out. I think what brought me back was the pandemic and just kind of not having anything to do and just starting to watch. And part of me still wouldn't commit fully to football. Like I'm a well wisher. I'll watch a little bit, but I never committed back to being a fan, especially based off of, Jerry was probably one of the leaders of the good old boys when it was, hey, if you wearing this star on your helmet, you better stand up. Right, he made a lot of statements, and then
he did.
As if I needed anything else to piss me off about Jerry Jones. Yeah, and so it was hard to be a fan, man. It was hard. Just when I came back, because I've said I haven't bought any since the boycott. The NFL has not received a dime from me. I haven't went to a game. I haven't paid for any merchandise. I haven't done anything. But part of me wants, because I miss that fandom. I miss being able to root for a team. But more than the reason it's been hard for me to leave the Cowboys is that was a connection me and my dad had. Like he was the person that brought me to the Cowboys. He was the one that took me to the games. My younger brothers, like we all became Cowboys fans. That was the common bond that we had. Even to this day, Kenny will call me, man, you watching the game, man? I think we're going to do this. Now, my brother, to this day, shout out to Kenny, is the diehard win, lose, or draw. This is our year guy. I got tagged in a post recently about him saying, this is our year. And
we them boys.
Yeah. But I'm like, I don't know. Can you leave it? Part of me doesn't leave because of the loyalty to my dad. But at a certain point, I'm like, I'm just so tired of this disappointment and the moves that Jerry is making that just,
I'll say this. Love isn't pie, right? I mean, you can still love that other organization, have that historical bond and everything, and move on to, the new lady. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. And the thing about it, I'm kind of there. Like, I'm a well-wisher. If they go to the Super, great. I'm a root for them. I never root against them, but I can't put all my eggs in that one basket, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I think the hardest thing is, like, if you're married for so long, getting back in the dating pool. Don't want to be a Kansas City fan. This is just, am I going with a popular team? Who do I really like? I thought Houston has a possibility just because that closeness to being here, that excitement with the city. But
it's something about being able to buy season tickets and everything else like that. That's a huge deal.
Yeah,
I was telling my cousin that the other day. I was like, I've never rooted for a team that I can like. I was never going to go to a San Francisco game. Like it's exciting rooting for a team that you can go see in person, man.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. And those are two things. Is like, for one, only one team wins every year, so there's 31 losers.
They can be your AFC team.
Yeah, I'm fine. Like it's just, will I be just as? Are they going to disappoint me just as much? It's like you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
do you leave? A lot of these teams are red flags. We're talking about dating because I tell our listeners the Cowboys and I are in an open relationship. They can date other fans. I can date other teams. Right now it's do I get the same disappointment? Because
And that's I think that is growth for me. Is now I really am looking for a team that I vibe with more, right? I want to love the organization, so I'm not looking at for just the looks and the pretty things and the exciting play, right?
I'm looking for substance.
I'm looking for
what's
substance.
On the inside,
right? I need a team with personality, like. like you talk about Jerry Jones. I can't root for the Cowboys. That wouldn't be my team because of Jerry Jones and that organization and how they did that, right? I think that's what I'm looking for. And that is what attracts me to kind of a Baltimore. I feel like that Baltimore's a black team.
Baltimore's at the top in my top 3 right now.
Yeah. So Atlanta's the kind of same way. The Saints are kind of the same way. So there are certain teams ish, right? Like I think there are certain teams that give you that kind of black feel there, and so that's what I mean. It's like I feel like they're for the culture at least a little bit, as much as they can be without alienating the rest of their crowds. So that's what I do look for that when I'm like, okay, who do I want to be my team?
I've been rooting for Houston. It's just. I think for me, for you guys that know me, that's probably the most consistent thing that you've known about me. Is I've been a Cowboys fan from the day you met me, right? And so I've changed jobs, I've changed women, changed everything about me, but the Cowboys have been the most consistent thing about me. And I say all that to say it's like when I make this switch, I got PTSD. It's when you get out of a long relationship, I don't know do I need to get a bounce back team? Do I need to
maybe yeah, like data team for a couple years?
Do I need to have a hot boy season?
I'm gonna take up for Dallas a little bit though. You are coming from a position of privilege, because can you imagine being a Cleveland Browns fan?
But they're only from Cleveland.
You know what I mean?
They're only in Cleveland.
Bengals.
They're only in Cincinnati, Miami. Right. They're only. I get it, and I use that. That's part of my argument. Like, dude, what are we talking about? Yeah, nobody gets on the Brown. A Bills fan.
Like we're saying Dallas doesn't win like they used to. Cleveland can't say that.
I've used that argument. Like, dog, what about could you imagine being a Bills fan?
Their owner let a homeless guy tell him who to draft for his quarterback. So, you were coming from a great position of privilege, being dating Dallas as long as you have.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like Dallas used to bring you your food and your slippers.
But she don't love me like she used to.
She don't love you no more. Like, she got old and comfortable.
She taking me for
everybody
granted.
else out here, they old lady just heat up microwavable dinners for them and stuff. You been getting seasoned steak and shit.
Man, and it's crazy. It's crazy because every season, the seasons, that just regular season gets you every year. Not me.
I do want to say, rooting for the Colts, I've earned the right to lead them. Listen, I stuck with them when they had Curtis Painter.
Exactly. He's like, who is that?
And they went 1-15. I went to a game because they came to Baltimore that year. So I earned the right to lose them. Damn it.
Yeah.
Curtis Painter. That was their backup plan, man.
It's tough. But I think you should be able to switch. But the long thing, Riser, you're an Alabama fan. Buff, you got Florida State. I don't know how that kind of happened. Some proximity.
My Florida State fandom. I got annoyed by all the back and forth from Alabama and Auburn fans.
See what's the next closest thing.
So I went outside the state, and then Deion. I was a Deion fan. That. And so,
and that's crazy,
And I get what you're saying about the Cowboys and your dad, because that's why I'm still an Alabama fan. Is because my dad, he loved Alabama, and it's that same thing where I know Alabama. We're about to go through some tough times with DeBoer, so I get that. And we talk about Alabama. The university is not the most welcoming to us, right? I get all of that.
Boy, We're gonna lose them. We're gonna lose some listeners on this one.
But at the same time, I gotta rock with him because of that. Because my dad loved it, and like I remember those conversations, right? Him calling after the games and all of that. Like it's one of the I can't give up that history of rooting for Alabama.
I guess that's the closest thing because you saw it, Byron, being in Mobile or being in Alabama and the Alabama Auburn rivalry, and people forget they act like it's not a well the last 20 years. It really hasn't been. But in the 80s and 90s, it was a lot closer than people make it seem. I moved to Mobile. I don't know if you guys knew. I used to be I still am to a certain extent, a UT fan. Growing up in Dallas, University of Texas was, that was ball. That was ball. Me and Melvin used to joke because when I thought I was gonna make it to the league and all this stuff, and I thought I was gonna be 6'2", 225 pounds, like I wanted to go to UT and play ball. When I moved to Alabama, it was almost you needed to make a decision because nobody could relate. Yeah. People in Mobile could relate to the Cowboys. Like I have a bunch of family members who are Cowboys fans. From Mobile, it's Cowboys, Saints, maybe Atlanta. There's a lot of that going on. But when I'm talking about UT, though, I'm like, what are you talking about? So I had to pick a team, and I wasn't a diehard football team fan at that point. I just liked who I liked because of proximity, and I just got tired. I got tired of hearing Roll Tide.
Yeah,
that's the only reason.
You're a contrary. You want to go against the grain. You like to go against the grain. So it makes sense. Your personality makes sense that you chose Auburn over Alabama.
Well, it was so annoying. And then it just sounded so Roll Tide. I'm like, it sounded racist to me.
Damn.
Listen to it from clean ears. It like he just sounds racist. And so that was the thing. And
I do want to eventually find, like, once Lamar retires, I do want to find like that team.
Let's vote on the team, and then we can all go to the games together.
Yeah.
Because ain't nothing like going to a game, man. It's
I mean, it's just even. I know a lot of people that are in Atlanta, and they became Atlanta fans by default, and it's just the tailgate. You don't even have to go to the games. Mm-hmm. Like the Falcons tailgate goes hard.
Yeah, it does.
Just because I know so many people at that tailgate, and similar to Houston. I've been in Houston for 15, going on 16 years now, right? And so I know a lot of people who tailgate, and being a part of that, just going out on a Sunday and, firing up the truck and firing up the grill and putting in on, just sitting there watching the game. It's a different feel. It's football season.
Love it. It is.
Congratulations. And speaking of Alabama and Florida State, congrats on your win, Buff.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
My other team lost.
That was a good game.
Texas lost.
Yeah, Ohio State.
Yeah, because part of me is like, maybe I can kind of lean back to and then Auburn. Like,
I do think they put Florida State too high off that one win. I mean, number from unranked to number 14 is a bit ridiculous, but we'll see what they look like when they play Miami next month.
Okay. All right. We got another time for another question. We're gonna go ahead and close it out.
We're already at an hour.
This is a football episode.
Yeah. So I have a question. I mean,
it won't be quick. It won't be quick. We'll just do it next week.
Never mind.
I got a question. It's gonna be quick. Never is. If you have any idea who we should who my new team should be, let me know. Buff is fine where he's at. Me and Risey, we're looking for a team. If you become a Texans fan, you can come over here with me, and we can go some games.
Okay, all right. I'll take a look. Like I said, I mean, I'm not giving up on Green Bay or anything like that. It's just
but you ain't going to a Green Bay fan.
Y'all got Micah.
Yeah, we do.
Speaking of. So I was in Madison, Wisconsin this weekend. Shout out to the Madison Fuse. Yeah. And Madison's not that far from. They're all Green Bay fans. And so from Texas, would you happen to be a Cowboys fan? Why? That's a complicated question, but for the most part, I would have to say yes by default. Yeah, thank you. It was not the week to be in Wisconsin.
I really think they overpaid for him, but I guess we'll see. I felt like Jerry did the right thing by not paying.
I think Jerry is half right.
He didn't get much extra when you think about the state taxes, state income taxes.
What Jerry was offering him, yeah.
Right. So when you think he
Seemed like
basically
it became personal between him and Jerry.
It did.
Yeah.
But Jerry says that. Look, if you watch the documentary, a lot of that stuff became personal. For me, the biggest thing about the Michael Parsons trade was timing. He should have did this 6 months ago. He would have get way more teams, way more offers, way more stuff he could use this season.
I think he wanted to keep him up until he kind of didn't want to keep him. And so I think that's why he didn't do it as early. But, and so he was just like, whatever.
Well, either he's worth it or he's not. Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to. It's is he worth it or not? Are you going to pay him? If he would have been nice to Jerry, would you have paid him, or did you not pay him because he wasn't nice? So was it personal and you lost the asset, or was it a business decision? He tried to make it seem like it's a business decision. So if it's a business decision, nothing's changed since March. Mm-hmm. The best thing is the Cowboys have a potential run stopper, which is there. Somebody said it best, is like Cowboys, as much as Micah Parsons disrupted the game, they still were dead last in the run. When it came to the overall defense, they were low on the totem pole. Even you pay him, almost $190 million to still be dead last. Right. So like how much better could they be? Hey, sack, run the ball down the middle. So do you, lose a little of that pass rush to shore up the run? If they're mediocre at run defense, if they're number 15 or 16, how much better is that team as a team, right, than being one of the top pass rushing teams with a hell of a secondary, potentially? And that's that. When I looked at it like that, I'm like, that makes sense. Do you pay him to be part of one of the worst defenses in the league still? Because what is he going to do differently? He gets to the playoffs, he can make a bunch of sacks, but they can run the ball down the middle, and there goes your game. So we could have got more draft picks. Here I go saying we again. God damn it. Close us out.
So the show was about football, and I took you guys down the journey of my NFL fandom. Which ties in perfectly to what I was going to close the show with. I read an in-depth article on the late Jim Irsay, former owner of the Indianapolis Colts. And I think most people know that he battled with sobriety and depression and things like that from time to time. But to read the article, you really find out how much they hid. And I just really feel like that is still where we are when it comes to depression, when it comes to substance abuse. I don't want to negate the strides we've made. Like, we routinely on this show encourage people to go to therapy and things like that. But I still think we have so far to go. And I say it because he hid a lot of his relapses, and the people that are close around him hid a lot of his relapses. And he wound up hiring a doctor that, was prescribing him pills that he probably shouldn't have been taking, that probably, I have to say probably, contributed to his death. But because the stigma is still there, we have not gotten rid of that stigma. I know some people say we have, but we haven't. We've gotten rid of the stigma to the point of, you can say, man, I was depressed, I went to therapy, now I'm better. People will say, man, you're so brave, you're so brave. But if you say, I was depressed, I went to therapy, now I'm better, I got depressed again, and then I relapsed on my substance abuse, and then I got depressed again. You start doing it over and over and over, but you always come back from it. People are no longer going to say you're brave. They're going to just write you off as weak, in my opinion. And I think at a certain point, people still feel compelled to tell maybe half-truths about what they're struggling with. And they still feel like they have to hide some of it. And this man was a billionaire. This man was on police camera, got pulled over for a DUI, and then got upset with the police officers and said he wasn't drunk. He only failed a sobriety test because he had a bad hip. So like things like that, relapsing 3 times in the span of, I think it was like 2 weeks or something. No, overdose. I keep saying relapsing. Overdosing in the span of 2 weeks, 3 different times. And you're hiding it mainly because people still look at that as man, you weak, or look how embarrassing that is. And I just don't think I think we can reach so many more people the more and more we're honest about this stuff. There is no fairy tale for a lot of people of like we hear the stories about people that beat sobriety and beat, substance abuse, but there are a lot of people that relapse all the time. And we need to know that and we need to normalize that and know that, hey man, going to see a therapist one time isn't always going to fix your mental health. Going to an AA meeting, completing that program one time isn't always going to fix your sobriety for life. And it was just a well done article, man, to where it just opened my eyes that we still have so far to go when we talk about these different things. And we just still have to battle against the stigmas of these things that tear us down because we know how life is, man. Life drives people to do a lot of different things that they shouldn't do, and it becomes embarrassing to them. And we need to embrace all the struggles of everybody and not stigmatize.
I'm glad you said that because I agree with you 100%. I think there's a part of it that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
And I think that part is knowing how to be supportive. I think we're
Yeah.
so new to people learning how some form of self-care. Some of us might give advice, but we don't know how to be supportive. We don't know how to help them in their journey. We don't, if he need my help, it's we don't know what to do. So I think maybe we talked about this, maybe get a professional on here and maybe talk about how do we support people who are going through things? How do we become more for people? You know, it takes a village. They always say it takes a village to raise a child. And I was thinking about this other day. That village shouldn't stop. You know, I was talking to somebody about my kids and me focusing on them. But one of the biggest things I want to do for my kids is teach them how to be an adult, a healthy adult. They're only a kid so long. They're going to be okay, barring any foreseen thing, but they'll be okay. It's when you're 20 years old. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? So how do you deal with a spouse or a family member who is depressed? How do you show them support? How do you say, like, you know what, at least once a year I'm gonna show up and sit down with Byron, or I'm gonna call him and check. I don't know what do we do, and when you call, do you like, how you doing? How's therapy going? I don't know. So I think we need to learn how to be supportive as well, and maybe they need to start teaching that more often.
Yep, definitely.
That's all I got, though.
Only couple things I got, man. I opened the show talking about Trump. I'll close talking about Trump, and how he is moving. But I'm giving him an actual shout out. So he is moving the Space Command to Huntsville. So for folks here in Alabama, that's a huge, huge win. And so now, why he did it? We know why he did it because Alabama's a red state and Colorado is not. And so why he did it, hey, it is what it is, but it's a win. And this is how I see how senators and congress people, they have to make those deals and they got to play along. And so even if you are a Democrat, right, from Alabama that's in there, this is a win for you, and you got to kiss the ring a little bit and suck up and just be like, appreciate it, Mr. Trump, or President Trump, if you really want to get on his good side. But it's a good thing for Huntsville. It's a good thing for Alabama to bring Space Command. That's jobs. That's secondary industry that has to happen. Those are contracting jobs. So there's a lot that happens. There's houses that have to that have to be built and everything like that. Is industry around military bases, and so where those get put is a huge, huge deal. And so shout out to him. Good stuff on bringing Alabama some much, much needed industry and jobs.
Definitely.
We get on him a lot, but I got to give him his flowers when he does something right. What they say, a blind squirrel catches a nut.
First says no. I do want to say one other thing. I just talked about depression and stuff. Naomi Osaka a couple of years ago took time away from her sport to deal with her mental health. She's back. She dusted my girl Coco. You ain't have to do it like that, Naomi. But she just won her latest match, and she's moving on to her first semifinal in years. So very happy for her, man. Just like Simone Biles, she had to take like these are top of the top of the top tier athletes, man, that are even struggling with mental health at times. We got to do better, man. We got to do better. But I'm happy for her. I'm very happy for her. I hope she wins it all. If Coco can't win it, I want Osaka.
All right, appreciate that. I'm gonna just finish what I was saying. Shout out to the Madison Qs. I was in Madison, Wisconsin this past weekend for their Labor Day weekend. They showed me a great time. Shout out to my former roommate, homeboy, state rep Rafiq Assad. He's doing great things up there. He showed me his city. They showed me a great time. It's a cool city. It's a college town. University of Wisconsin's up there. Met some good people. Didn't know what to expect, but I enjoyed myself. So shout out to the Madison Qs. Shout out to all our listeners. It is football season. Good luck for everybody on their fantasy football leagues. Byron showed us something that we might be picking up next year. Get back to fantasy football. So maybe I have to get a football team first. So with that being said, Three Brothers No Sense. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment. Most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.